we enter the new year with a sense of trepidation. I don't know if you've heard, but 2024 is an election year. Certainly a cause for anxiety. The war in Gaza continues with the looming possibility of wider conflict in the region. And we start a new book of the Torah, Exodus, which opens the narrative with these foreboding words. A new king arose who knew not Joseph. There's trouble ahead for the people of Israel. Fortunately, our Parsha doesn't just recount the subjugation and degradation of the Israelites in Egypt, it also includes the beginning of redemption. In 3 chapters, we cover 400 years of bondage, the birth and maturation of Moses, and Moses' encounter with God at the burning bush. If only all of our troubles could be fast-forwarded, like in the book of Exodus. Moses' meeting with God at the burning bush is the first of many conversations between the Holy One and their chosen prophet. And like so many conversations between the two that will follow, it is contentious. God tells Moses, "Now the cry of the Israelites has reached me. Moreover, I have seen how the Egyptians oppress them. Come, therefore, I will send you to Pharaoh, and you shall free my people, the Israelites, from Egypt." And Moses, in true Moses fashion, says, "Who, me? Why would Pharaoh listen to me?" God says, "Well, I will be with you, that's why." And Moses says, "Well, what if the people don't listen to me either? Who should I tell them is sending me?" And God says, "Ehyeh asher ehyeh. Thus shall you say to the Israelites, Ehyeh sent me to you." The arguing continues for another chapter with Moses begging God to send someone else, and God getting angry at Moses for lacking faith in his own abilities and in God's ability to save. And as we know, Moses eventually goes on his mission, and he does okay for himself. But this moment, the moment of God naming God's self, is, I think, the key to the whole story. Ehyeh asher ehyeh. For those of you who know a little bit of Hebrew, you might recognize the root, hey yud hey, which means to be. So the King James Bible translates Ehyeh asher ehyeh as I am that I am. Other translations include I am who I am, or I am however I am. These translations capture the essence of God's name, which is being. God is the being par excellence. So the Midrash explains, the Holy One, blessed be he, said to Moses, "Say to them, it is I who've been with you in the past, and it is I now, and it is I in the future. Therefore I will be is written 3 times. The 13th century scholar Hizkuni explains, the reason why my name is Ehyeh is because I am eternal, immutable. I am therefore a most reliable God, in the sense of dependable helper and savior, as I will always be around. And a couple of centuries later, the Italian commentator Sforno adds, I am an independent existence, not subject to influences by other phenomena or even caused by them. Seeing that this is so, it follows that I love existing and beings that exist. As a corollary to this love of mine for existence, it follows that I deeply resent anything or anyone who tries to terminate such an existing being from continuing to do so. In other words, God's very name conveys not only God's eternal, steadfast presence, and not only God's continued loyalty to the Israelites, but the reason for God's faithfulness to all of us, which is God's love of life itself. All that packed into 3 words. But that's not all. If you know any Hebrew grammar, you know that Ehyeh is the imperfect, or the future tense. So a more accurate translation is actually, I will be what I will be. This is what Rabbi Jonathan Sacks says about it. I am the God of the future tense. So Judaism, in the concept of a messianic age, became the only civilization whose golden age is in the future. And throughout the Torah, the promised land lies in the future. Abraham does not acquire it. nor does Isaac, nor does Jacob. Even Moses, who spends 40 years leading the people there, does not get to enter it. It is always just beyond, soon, but not yet. To Rabbi Sachs, God's name contains the promise of future redemption, of God's intervening in history to liberate the Israelites from Egypt and to liberate us all in the future messianic redemption. But to me, Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh suggests that God is the source of possibility, of change and growth, the source of our future. In a moment when Moses is deeply anxious and doubtful about his future and the future of his people, God says, I will be what I will be. You have no idea what is possible, no idea what goodness and righteousness and peace could lie ahead. As they say in the recovery community, more will be revealed. So Rabbi Sachs concludes, when God said, I will be what I will be, he was telling us something not only about God, but about us when we are open to God and have faith in his faith in us. We can be what we will be if we choose the right and the good. And if we fail and fall, we can change because God lifts us and gives us strength. He continues, I believe that we must honor the past, but not live in it. Faith is a revolutionary force. God is calling to us as once he called to Moses, asking us to have faith in the future, and then with his help to build it. We enter the new year with trepidation, but our Parsha reminds us that along with our trepidation, we do have reason for hope. I will be what I will be. More will be revealed. Our story is still unfolding, and we have the power to help write it. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.